Welcome to Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. Hi, everybody. Awesome. Welcome to another episode of Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. I love bringing great people to great people, and I have another great person for you. And we are going to be talking about crystals, spirit crystals. I have Ginny C. Bell, one of my favorite guests. Hey, hi to everybody, Ginny.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking so forward to getting into your book, Spirit Crystals. And so before we go there, people, I want to give you a quick introduction of who my guest is. So Ginny C. Bell is the author of Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guides for Healing and Empowerment. And trust me, I need healing and empowerment now more than ever. And if you do too, we'll get into how this will help you. She also has Divergent Witchcraft, an inclusive approach to making magic, coming out in spring of 2026. We're going to have her back on the show because that sounds like a hot topic. She also is the founder of Our Coven online community and the host of the Coven Chats podcast, a practicing witch. And for 3 decades, Ginny has practiced yoga, meditation, reading tarot cards, and working with the healing power of crystals. And we get to benefit from all of what she has done and what she has known in this wonderful book that was just released. Ginny, I am so excited about this book. And the cover is magnanimous. When I got my copy in the mail, I'm like, it just popped out at me. And I'm just like, here it is in all its glory. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is what makes your book different than just a regular, this is a stone and this is its attributes. You really go into, this is your new friend. This is your new community. This is your new spirit guide. And approaching it from not just, oh, I use stones, but that you actually connect and work with them as though they are your guides because they are and they are alive. I love that. And we need more of that. So, how did you come? I know this is an obscure question, but how did you come to understand, or did you always know that it's more than just an object with attributes? It actually is a living being. I have some beautiful stones here. That one has a little picture. It's got the raven on it, and I'm sure I have a smoky quartz around here somewhere. I've got my selenite around here. So, how did you come to understand that these crystals are more than what we are giving them credit for, or that we were raised to think, that they actually are alive beings that can help us as guides?
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a perfect way to describe it. So I love the way you described it. 'Cause that's exactly how I see it. Um, it came intuitively, I think, from a young age when like I started working with crystals. I considered them like friends and allies,
Yeah.
but I didn't really see that in other books. It was, I started being a witch in like the 90s, and it was all about the programming of the crystal. You know, it was like, and it always kind of made me feel kind of, it gave me the ick because I wouldn't like program a cat. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like that was, I don't know, like the way to approach crystals. And so I worked with them intuitively for a long time, and I always thought of them as friends and allies. And then I started reading, two things happened. Well, three. I got Reiki, and I talk about this to people all the time. Like, even if you're not going to do anything with the Reiki, just go get Reiki Master, like level one. And it's like, it opens you up to so many things. Like it's just, it's healing to the chakras, and I feel like it opens you up to spirit, and it's amazing. And so that happened. And then I was like studying like a mad woman. Like it's opened me up to like just absorbing a lot of information. And I really got into an author named Jamie Sams, who has passed away. She was Cherokee. And I had never read anybody talk about rocks the way that she talked about it, like the way I always felt. And she called them stone people. Yeah. And she talked about how they're people and they're record keepers and they're allies. And it was like, yes, this is something that I always like knew in my heart, but I had never read anywhere else. And so that was really, it emboldened me. It like made me feel like, okay, yeah, like I haven't, this was true. Like it's not just true to me, but it was true to other people. And it got lost somewhere when we started like programming the crystals.
Right.
And and so then I also started working with crystal skulls. I picked up one. I just was like drawn to it. It was a Lemurian clear quartz crystal skull, hand carved, and I was like tiny. But I was like, I was already like connected. I felt like there was a being in there, started really connecting with the spirit guide in there. And then at the same time, it was so weird. I was in Kyle Gray's angel team, and he offered a one-time, one-off course on crystal skulls. And I had just bought mine.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. That's how it works. They call
That's how it
you
works.
and then they give you a class so that you can understand the stone people, the stone nation. Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So then I took his class, and it was along the lines of the Judy Hall book on crystal skulls. That's what I was already reading.
Yeah.
And so, but he had like his own little kind of twists and, kind of ideas. And it was just nice to be in community too with other people who were interested, and just see like this is a whole community. There's a whole like sub community of what are called like skull keepers and people that work with crystal skulls and master carvers. And it's like a whole thing. It's a whole kind of situation.
Yes.
Yeah, and so then I was working with my guides and my crystal skull guides, and I was looking for a new kind of approach to crystals. Like I'd already created a class on Udemy, and it was about using your intuition and connecting with the essence of the crystal. Like I already had that. I already felt that was something people needed to do. I was doing it. I was teaching it, and then it was like one step further was, well, what if this crystal's your guide? And then that kind of went from there.
I absolutely love that. And I think that it's brilliant. And I think that it is a wisdom that maybe we had and forgot or lost, and that you are helping to bring this wisdom back because it is the difference between, I mean, it's actually the concept of animism, that everything is alive, everything is, has a personality, and walking through life with that type of respect is amazing to me because it shifts your worldview.
Yes.
So, I know that and I love all the books out there about stones and crystals. I kind of call them the gateway to your spirituality because they're grounding. But I did also kind of like, I understand like some quartz, that it is a recorder and all of that. But I also am like, I understand that we can maybe talk with them about what we're looking for them to help us with, but not just go mind meld, you're going to do this. And I totally forgot about that aspect until you're bringing it forward with the stone people and bringing them alive. So what would be like the differences to you with bringing the stones under approaching a stone or a crystal from a position of programming it versus approaching it as though it is your guide? What changes in your magic or in the reader's magic when they begin to switch their worldview and go, oh,
Yeah. So I think the easiest way for people to understand this is with herbs, because a lot of herbalists already see the herbs as a spirit and as alive as a guide, right? There's this belief, and not every herbalist, but there's belief that you have a person you're trying to heal, you don't know what herb to give them, you take a walk and a plant will shake and it'll get your attention and it'll say, it's me, you need my spirit, you need me to help you. And that's, I think, the best way for people to understand. It's like, that's the approach of befriending the herb versus, let me look in this book. It says, this is it. I'm going to buy it dead already at the store and I'm going to throw it in my tea and it should work. It's like, that's the programming. It's like, I want it for this thing, but we actually can't control the crystal, the herb, the animal guide. We can't control how they affect us or what part of ourselves they affect us. We just can't. And so it's like, even with like, I take nettle, maybe I'm taking nettle herb for hormone help, but maybe it's starting to help my allergies, but I didn't even ask for it to do that. You just don't know. And it's the same with crystals, especially like all the crystal guides in the book are quartz related, right? They're clear quartz and then all of the friends of clear quartz, all of the quartz, because quartz, like you said, has that high energy. It's got a high vibration. It's an amplifier. They're at a different, I think personally, they're at a different frequency than other rocks and stones, but I work with all. And I don't want people to think like, I'm an elitist, because I will work with stones on a hike. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be one I bought in a shop. So
I love that. And I do. I think that quartz it's more of I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's almost like it's one of the easiest accessible because it'll listen to you and work with you. And so I absolutely agree. I remember one time I had a little community and we had this meeting and we were going to be talking about some very important things. And I brought out a bowl of some quartz and I'm like, as you speak, hold this so that I can connect, and then we'll all put them back into the bowl so that our knowledge is recorded and is solidified by ancient guides, and maybe bring it a little bit more grounded. So I've worked with them like that. And in your book, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am excited because in your book, you give us exercises, meditations, rituals, spells on how to work with them. But the first part about it is like discovering them and building a relationship, which is so beautiful, like you would to a friend or a guide or people like you said, people know about angel guides or,
yeah.
different types of guides, but what about crystal guides? So how do you build, like if you are just sitting here and you're like, whoa, I never thought about that, and you're listening to this podcast, what could somebody do today going, okay, I need to treat my quartz crystals or my stone people with more respect and I want to connect with them. Like, what could they do to connect and start building that relationship with them?
Yeah. So with whatever is with you, a stone, a crystal, doesn't have to be one of the spirit crystals, a quick cleanse. So, I always say that I've been to actual mines. So I was my geology club treasurer and I've seen, parts of hillsides blown up. I've seen cyanide used to get gold. Like, mining is not always like, I just found this beautiful crystal and here it's for you. It's pretty aggressive and it can be traumatic, I think, to the crystals. So, and you don't know whose hands have touched it. So I like to give it a cleanse, and an easy cleanse, no matter what kind of stone or crystal, is take it outside, put it on the ground, and get it in some indirect sunlight and say, thank you, sunshine. Thank you, Mother Earth, for cleansing this crystal. And then having it be clear. And then bring it inside and blow your breath onto that crystal, because your breath is sacred. And so you can onto the crystal and say, like, I want to be your friend, like, wake up, friend, and connect that way, giving a little piece of yourself with the breath. And then a lot of times the crystal will respond to that. We do the same thing with, like, you can do that with seashells, with, herbs if you're using it for a spell, feathers if you work with feathers. Like, your breath is connecting you now to that object.
I love that. And it's kind of like for me, what I get a visual of is that you are around like a bunch of classmates or colleagues, but you don't really know them. But this is
Yes.
like giving you permission to go, "Hi, I'm Granddaughter Crow, and I would like to get to know you." That breath in me approaching and doing that, it sounds like that's what you're giving them respect, and you're introducing yourself, and you're calling out an aspect of them that a lot of times they don't get called out like that. So they're just like, well, I'll do my magic for you, but it'd be really nice. And how much more it would be instead of us just being colleagues for us actually to be friends. And I can show you, more magic for healing and empowerment, right?
Yeah. I love
I
that. I love the colleague versus friend analogy. That's perfect way to say it.
Yeah, and it's so good. And I study animism a lot in shamanism, and definitely in my next book that's going to be coming out in 2026 about shamanism, this book is one that I am going to put in the recommended reading because of the way that you can build a friendship with what one would consider the tools that you're working with. They're actually beings that know everything. Because, I mean, how long have they been around and what type of wisdom do they have?
Right.
So, yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're record keepers for sure.
They
Like they're the
absolutely
rec
are.
Yeah. Like you said how you passed around that bowl of quartz and it's like it's going to hold our record. Yeah. Quartz runs throughout the earth. It's so prevalent. It's in the veins, it's in a lot of ley lines, like, magical portal places. Like it's there recording everything and then we dig it up and you're just going to like put it on your altar, but maybe it has a lot of things to share with you.
Yeah, I really like that. So give us some examples of what they can share with you. I know that you outline like six different, like you said, from the quartz family stones, and connecting with them in detail in your book. What are different like wisdoms that people would be like almost shocked to know that they would teach you or show you?
Well, so I got the six that I have. I Those were chosen, those were channeled. So it wasn't like I at random was like these six. It was all channeled in an Akashic Records recording that I recorded. And so what was interesting is I got like in that one channel message, I got the crystals, I got sacred numbers to those crystals, I got different aspects of divinity that connect to those crystals and herbs and plants that work with that crystal. It was like a lot of information. So a lot of the book was working backwards. It was like Llewellyn's like, okay, well, you got to get your resources. It's like, yes, because I can't just say the Akashic Records. So it
Right.
was like, okay, now we're working backwards and we're trying to figure out, okay, this wisdom was given to me. Now I have to show how other people agree with this wisdom. And so what was most interesting to me is I got immediately that amethyst is connected to ancient Egypt, right? And that also connected to alchemy. And I actually, in my own like reading, did not know that alchemy was part of ancient Egypt. I
Right.
didn't know that it had any connection there because I thought
Wow.
alchemy came from like Europe. I really did not know there was any connection. And so then this research started, I'm like shocked. I was shocked. I was like, whoa, like this really does have this connection that I wasn't even consciously aware of, which showed that that was correct information, right? Like if it kept having like these moments where I'd be like, oh wow, yeah, that does make sense. And and it was just like the research would just back up what was given to me, which felt like a really precious gift because it's like obviously they knew what they were talking about. So
I love that. I mean, it's almost like you got an introduction to the council.
yeah,
That's how I see it.
I like that. Yeah.
And so what are the six stones, crystals? What are the six crystals? I use stone and crystal synonymous, so sorry about that. But what
No.
are the six crystals besides amethyst and quartz? What are the other four?
And it's okay because all crystals are stones,
Oh,
but
thank
not
you.
all stones are crystals. So it's okay to say, like, when in doubt, use stone or rock, because you don't crystal has to have a certain kind of like scientific structure to be considered a crystal. So it's totally fine. But yeah, so we have amethyst and clear quartz. We have rose quartz, which is very connected to like the angelic realm and connecting with like obviously the heart chakra. And but I learned like working with rose quartz, it's a I feel it's a crystal that's more about self-love
Mhm.
more than anything else, more than like trying to find your true love. I see rose quartz used a lot in love spells, and I think that's great because you have to love yourself in order to attract someone that will love you too. So keep doing that. But yeah, I definitely see it that way. And then smoky quartz is really connected with things like the unknown. Like there's a meditation in there with the smoky quartz section that is a connection to the rainbow bridge, right? To crossing over and deciding if you want to connect with the other side of people who have passed away or ancestors. And so the smoky quartz really is about that, is about the other side, is about the mediumship. And then aventurine, I used that one because originally my guide said green quartz. And I'm like, as far as I know, that's not a thing, but it is. It's called praseolite. Some people call it green quartz, but it's actually pretty hard to find. So I went back into like meditation, and I was like, can we use aventurine? Because it is in the quartz family. It's green. It's much more prevalent. And I do have both now. I was able to find praseolite and aventurine, and really the energy to me, it's the same. And then, and that one is connected with inner wisdom. So really tapping into what I call the sage, which is really like your intuition, your inner wisdom. And then the last one is citrine, which is another one that some people like when you go to, if you're going to buy citrine, it's actually very light in color. And a lot of what's sold is heat treated amethyst and kind of looks like root beer.
Oh,
So that's just something for people to keep in mind. But that one is connected with manifesting, and it helps unlock the blocks to being like in your real power so that you can actually manifest.
I absolutely love that. And so would you say that how could people decide which one to get when they're working with a book? Or do you recommend getting them all, or are they drawn to one? Like, how do they choose which one to work with?
So in the book, there's a series of meditations that guide you to decide to see who your spirit crystal is. And so the first meditation is about, well, there's like a couple meditations prior to, and there's some tips. So I use the word meditation if people get nervous. There are some tips for those people. And it's okay to do the meditation more than once. Like I tell them that too. They're short. You can just record your voice, read what I wrote, record it, and then there's a series of 3 meditations, and at the end, your crystal's revealed to you. And originally, this was a class. So I've done this class live, and then I did it online, and then it was a Udemy class, and now it's a book. And I'm getting feedback from people reading the book saying it works just as well as a book, which was good to know because sometimes it's easier to do a meditation like with a voice, but it is going to be an audiobook, which I also think will really help people with the meditation aspect. That's being worked on right now, so I'm not sure when that comes out yet, but that'll, I think, be wonderful for people who are like, I don't want to record my voice reading a meditation.
Hey, yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And going into that meditation, and it makes it more like it makes it like Ginny C. Bell is introducing us to the council, and they will come forward and tell us which one we connect with. Do you connect with more than one, or is it generally like one, or am I getting too technical? Like how many friends do you get? How many guides can you handle? Like how do you perceive working with one or more than one?
I have had in all the classes I've done, I've only had like maybe 1 or 2 people really connect, obviously, to 2. but most people connect only with one. And to me, they're lifetime guides, but that doesn't mean you can't work with the other five because they are related. But it's a very, I would say it's a very minimalist approach. Like, anti social media needing 500 crystals on your altar. And I'm saying, like, you just need one and you just be cool with the one and you can work with that one for your whole life. But yeah, there are some activities in the book where if you want to have all six, you can. And there's like some ways that you can use them together to make certain kind of magic and ritual and crystal grids and things like that. But you can just work with the one and keep it simple too.
Love it. So I'm gonna, in the way that I do things, I'm gonna ask you a really weird question.
Okay.
I used to have, and I gifted it, but I used to have a rose quartz. And I had it set up in my office where I would see people and do sessions and readings and healings and all of that. And in connecting with this stone, I just called her Sarah. This is Sarah. And sometimes when I would see somebody who was really emotionally distraught, all of a sudden from the side of my eye, I'd feel like Sarah was glowing and I'd go, hold on, would you like a hug from Sarah? Would you like to hold Sarah? And they would hold her and they would feel more peace. And I worked with her for at least a decade until I think there was something that happened, and I was like, oh, Sarah now belongs to this person. And so I handed Sarah to another person. But my point is, why do you think I called her Sarah?
So I was talking about crystal skulls earlier, and you can go on these what are called rehoming groups, which is exactly like what you did. Like there is like a monetary exchange, but it's a rehoming, and the skull always has a name. And it's like the guide that inhabits that crystal, and people give them and trade them. And I've seen every name I mean, like some of them sound like otherworldly, like a name you never heard of, but some of them are simple, like Sarah. I have a crystal skull that's Alana. That's just the name she gave me. And I'm like, okay, girl, like you're Alana.
Yeah. And for me, it really cuts to the understanding that this is your friend, your guide, your counsel. And this friend, guide, and counsel has a history of knowledge, all of the records. I mean, how long have they been here? And that they also have all of these attributes that can carry you through your life through healing and empowerment. So like, can you give us an example? So now we've met the stones. Can you give us an example of, I know you have a lot of meditations and exercises and rituals and spells, which I love. Put us in action, get us to go in action. The question is how does that connection, how do you build that connection beyond I don't even know what I'm asking. It's Mercury retrograde. I'm really like just so excited about, oh, we got new friends. How do we play?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good question. So, each crystal is attached to an archetype. And that was given to me. I sat with each crystal, which is why I had to find a piece of praziolite. I'm like, why did you guys give me a weird one? So anyway, I sat with each one, and that's how I determined a lot of the information beyond what I was originally given. So I'd sit and be like, rose quartz, like lay in meditation, keep rose quartz with me for a couple weeks, and like that's when I'm writing the chapter, and she's telling me put this in here, that I'm connected to this, like what about this? And I felt really heavily guided, I would say, when I wrote this book. And so yeah, that's so basically, like, the question was like how to play, right? So with the archetype, once you kind of determine like this is my crystals, my archetype, one of the first suggestions I had was to make a playlist based off of your archetype.
I love this.
Yeah, so just like that's playing and having fun. And I do, if people go to my website, I have a Spirit Crystals portal page, and I do have playlists for each one of the archetypes. But I definitely encourage people to make their own. But making a collage of the archetype, keeping the crystal with you. And it doesn't, like I talked about, it doesn't have to be this big showy piece. just having it like take it in the shower, take it on a ride, take I like to take my crystals to a stream and like let them have like a little stream time and like water. I'm weird for sure. But you know, take them like have them next to you while you sleep. Say, "Hey, I want to meet you in my dreams. Like come to me in my dreams." There's it's just an invitation, like an open invitation to like let's connect, let's hang out, let's play like you would with a new friend or a pet or whatever.
I absolutely love that. So people, jennycbell.com, literally Jenny, the letter C, Bell, Bell.com, where you can find not only how to get this book so that you can get to know your spirit crystal, but moreover, find all of these little gifts and playlists, which I am definitely going to be checking out because at this point, Jenny, my main spiritual jive is shamanism. And it's how I think, it's how I approach the world, it's how I live, and all of that. And so when I'm talking with you about this, I'm like, this is how I kind of help people to understand their animal spirit
Yeah.
guide. And I take them through a guided meditation. And a lot of times people will just come up to me and go, "Well, which one is mine?" And I'm just like, "Well, I can see that you act like a bird. I can see you act like a wolf. I can see that you have attributes like independence, like a cat. But in truth, why ask me? Why not go into meditation and start building your own relationship? I'm not your dating coach."
I like that. Yeah. Cut just cut out the middleman or middle woman. Like that's what my book's about. That's why it's empowerment. Is like I do offer a service where I can find your spirit crystal for you. But I would rather you go through the process, the journey, and find it. Like it's definitely so rewarding. I remember like the first guide that I ever got to connect with was an animal guide. And it was in this like guided meditation, and it didn't go well for me.
Okay.
I was like, I go in, I'm like 19, I'm like, I'm a cat. It's obviously going to be like a mountain lion, a cougar. Like, I love cats. It's a cat. And I go in there, and the instructor was like, you were really closed off because I didn't see anything. We go in, like, there's like this whole forest thing, and then you go to like this hole in the ground, and your animal's supposed to come out, and I saw nothing but a paw. And I was like, why is that? I was like really disappointed and, young and whatever. And they're like, you just do it at home on your own a couple times, and you have to be open because you're not open. It's very clear that you think you already know what your animal is. And so I make a big thing in the book about like just be open to the crystal because you just don't know who's there for you, who's going to guide you. And in my case, it was a wolf, not a cat.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I can see both attributes. I mean, from my end, you very much hold that cat presence, but then also in talking to you, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely a wolf." But I would kind of this is what I would say, that you come from cat people, but you are the spirit of the wolf. Because you hold both, like you're coming from the cat clan,
Yeah.
but your role is the wolf in the cat clan. That's just me being having fun.
No,
But
but no, you're right. Can I tell you why that's so funny? Because
I love it.
my mom and my sister are Leos. My daughter's a Leo sun, my son's a Leo rising. I really do come from cat people.
You come from cat people. And we're sitting here recording this under the new moon in Leo, which is another cat people.
Yeah.
I love it. So you are the wolf amongst the cat people.
Yes.
So maybe you have dual citizenship.
Maybe I do. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. I love it. So when you are, here's another strange question that comes to my mind as I'm listening to this, as though I've never read this book for the audience, like, how do you hear the stones then? Like, do you have to be clairaudient? Like, do they talk to you, or like, do they send you pictures, or is there numbers, or how do you communicate? What are the, I guess, most common ways that they communicate back to you?
Yeah. So in the book, before we get started, I go over the clair senses. So, people all know clairvoyant, like everybody knows that one, and that's, clear seeing, but very few people have that. And in fact, some people have like an inability to envision in their mind. And so I talk about all the different clair senses and like how they can come through. And there's some chakra meditations and kind of clearing before we even get into, because that's kind of the way to open yourself up to intuition. And for some, I feel like for most people, I feel everybody has intuition and it comes in different ways. But a lot of people doubt it. And
Great.
so I make a big thing in the meditations, like just trust whatever comes through. If it's a color, if it's a sound, if it's a symbol, and just trust that that's the way it's communicating with you. And it can change. Like, some people start off one way. Like, I definitely consider myself clairaudient, but the more I read tarot, the more imagery comes in for people. And I'll say, I see this and this and this for you. And oh, yeah, that's exactly right. And so that it can change over time. I think the more spiritual work we do, it opens us up more. But yeah, I think, and just trust it. You just have to trust the initial, that's the hardest part in our Western society, is trusting that, like, it's that feminine intuition. We all have the masculine and the feminine. It's such a feminine thing and such a patriarchy. It's like, well, if it's just a feeling, it can't be trusted.
And so you help us to break through.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. And I do want to shift over to your Divergent, witchcrafty book, or I forgot the title. But before we do, I just have another question. There, with the crystal skulls in the place that I come from, more, native in culture and stuff, those to me appear to be also cosmic energy coming in, not just angel guides, not to say that that's all, but more even alien or extraterrestrial. What do you think about that? Am I like way off or
No
talk?
way. You're definitely not way off. There's not a whole lot of books on crystal skulls, and I have read, I think, most of them. I have the metaphysical library here down the street from me, and I've watched videos, I've tried to kind of, and then the best thing for me was just connect with them myself and kind of learn. But my oracle deck that I have is called the Cosmic Creator, because I do believe that there's this cosmic connection. Like, yes, we have Mother Earth and Father Sky and Grandmother Moon and Grandfather Sun, but I also think around all of this is some kind of universal cosmic creation. And so, is it extraterrestrial? Is it alien? I don't know. And I also feel like it doesn't matter because it's here. And we all are made of stardust. Like, we all have this kind of like cosmic connection for sure. And so there's different beliefs on the different skulls, and there are people that carve the skulls in a way that looks alien. I call them like a traveler, and they look like a galactic traveler.
I've seen them. Yep.
Yeah. And so I personally, I just like this, I guess it's like a kind of a Buddhist perspective, like, I don't ask why the Big Bang, I just accept the Big Bang. Like, it happened, it's here. Like, I don't need to know why we're here or how. And so with crystal skulls, I think the best explanation again comes from Jamie Sams, who talked about in her book 13 Original Clan Mothers, that when the 13 original clan mothers disappeared, all that was left were 13 perfect clear quartz skulls. And that goes along with all the new age people who've talked about 13 crystal skulls, and then that the Mitchell Hedges skull being like the only one that supposedly has been found, and that there's the other 12 either still hidden or being kept and whatever. And so it's a very, I don't know, it's interesting. And it's like, I think at one point we did know, you know?
Right, right. I agree with you. I absolutely love that because, my father used to say we talk so intelligently about all of our confusions, but when you know what you know, just know what you know. And it's kind of what you just said. Why do we have to talk intelligently about how did this happen and what, just accept it and be where you are with the cosmic energy and everything. Well, I love that you brought this book, published by Llewellyn. You guys pick up yours, Spirit Crystals by Ginny C. Bell. It just came out, discovering your crystal guides for healing and empowerment. Okay, so let's do a little prelude. Like, okay, you've got another book in the works about divergent witchcraft. How much do we get to know? Because I don't want spoiler alerts, but I am so curious because, yeah.
Yeah, so when I originally started writing, I wanted to write a book that was an introduction to witchcraft, but not like one we'd seen before, because there's a lot. Like I remember when I used to get my books at Borders back in the 90s, again, it was like every book was an introduction book. And I'd be like, where's the level 2 book? Like I'm ready. I'm introduced. give me give me the next thing. And so I wanted to write an introduction book that was very inclusive for all genders, because a lot of times we get very, the older, especially like Wiccan books, it's very like gendered, like here's the feminine and here's the masculine and the moon's a woman, and if you're a dude, good luck, like you can't connect, right? And it's very binary, it's very like old fashioned. And then also I ended up working, just I think like attracts like, with a lot of neurodivergent baby witches. And neurodivergent people ask such deep questions. It's like they don't want the just give me the surface answer. Like they want the deep dive, give me all the information. It's a different way of, they have a different way of looking at things and viewing things. And so I wanted to write a book, my version of like how I would teach introduction and to witchcraft to people like in a more inclusive approach. And so that's Divergent Witchcraft. That's the whole point of the book, is anybody can learn from it for sure. Because when you like, I was a school teacher, and when you teach to like, any kind of inclusivity, everybody can understand it better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not just the ones who quote need it, but like everybody learns better that way. And so it's another book with like a lot of exercises and a lot of meditations, a lot of journaling, pausing. I can't help but be a teacher. Like I really, and so and I think it's going to be good because it's doing things in a new way, like looking at the moon in a new way, looking at writing spells in a new way. And that's another thing I feel has been missing from the world of witchcraft books, is there's like not a lot of like, how do I create my own spell?
Oh my, of course. Way to
Yeah.
point out the obvious. I never even thought about that.
It's a lot of like, here's spells and here's correspondences. But if you're new or you look at those lists of correspondences and it's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'm looking forward to seeing that book out there, because I think that that's the inclusivity and the neurodivergent is probably a lot more common than we think. And I absolutely love looking and learning from different places. I mean, maybe I'm neurodivergent and I don't know because I'm a Gen X and we didn't do that back then, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take some tests, because I too, people ask oddball questions and see the world in a very different way, which is why you guys follow me and watch the show, right? Right, right. So, Ginny, I'm so excited about that. So, of course, jennycbell.com, and you have, I know you're on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
with our Coven, and I follow you daily because you post such great things. Where can we find that? What is it? Is it Our Coven on Instagram?
It's our Coven community.
Okay. Our Coven community. You guys have to follow, because Ginny really does. I mean, I'll just wake up in the morning, I do my little meditation, I have my coffee, I'm set for the day, and I go in there, and there's Ginny looking at me from her backyard or wherever, going, Happy new moon in Leo. What rituals are you going to do to celebrate and connect. And it's just a really wonderful gathering place. And then you have the online community as well. Can you just share a little bit about whatever you want with the online community? Because I know a lot of people, and they even sometimes comment and say, I'm here in the South. There is nobody around. I want a community that I can participate in. So tell us a little bit about your community online.
Yeah, it's called Our Coven, and it's a Mighty Network, which is a private social media. So it's not like Patreon, which is would be more focused on me. It's a real like community, and it does cost to join. It's $22 a month, and so you pay that $22, and you can decide, yes, I like it. I want to commit to the whole year, which would be cheaper to do that. Or no, it was a good trial and I'm good now. But we basically strive to do a live every month, and it's up to the community. So they pretty much drive like what they want to learn about. This year we've covered spiritual protection. We covered connecting with land spirits. We've done a lot on crystals in preparation for reading spirit crystals. We have a book club. And then I think the best thing is a huge library of like anything you could ever want to ask, like crystals, Akashic records, ancestors, goddesses, elements, candles, it's like all this stuff. And then I'm there and I check in every day, and I try to get back to everybody in at least 48 hours. So if someone's new and they have a question, I try to give a very thoughtful answer. They really drive the content. And so it's a community. And we do card reading exchanges. I do every month, the beginning of the month, I'll do like a pick a card reading and kind of talk about the energy of the month for everybody. And yeah, it's just really cozy. It's been like they've been so supportive of the book. It's been really sweet. They take selfies when it comes in the mail and they show me like the book, and it's like really it's a place of kindness because a lot of the internet is not.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. And people just need to go to jennycbell.com and they can find more information about our coven. And that's a wonderful place, to be able to go. It's a safe haven, and $22 to start to check it out for 1 month is a master number. It's just a beautiful thing, and it supports. It's kind of like, when you go to church, you pay your tithes. It's
Yeah.
giving back and building a relationship with. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I love following you on Instagram because it's you make people think. You ask them questions that you literally want to hear what they have to say versus, well, this is a test. Do you know which stone I'm thinking of? It's more of a, which I love those too, don't get me wrong, but you're more of a, how are you going to practice today? And so yeah, you guys check out Jenny C. Bell, jennycbell.com. Please pick up her book, published by Llewellyn, Spirit Crystals. It is absolutely phenomenal. It literally is not just another book on crystals. It is a book about spirit guides in the crystal nation. Period. Stamp of approval. I have it. I actually wrote a little blurb and it ends out in the book. And you know what's so funny? Can I tell you something funny, Jenny? I wrote this blurb and I sent it to you because I reviewed the book and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I really want to say something about it. And then I forgot about that. And then one day I get this book in the mail and I'm like, holy moly, this is Jenny's book. And oh my goodness, it's so gorgeous. And I took a picture and I sent it to you. I'm like, look, it came to me and I didn't know why I got it. I'm a Llewellyn author. You're a Llewellyn author. I didn't know. And so I was like, yay. And then you were like, yeah, did you check out the front page? And I'm like, what about the front page? And then I'm like, oh, my blurb is in there. So that came as like just an extra cherry on the top. But I thought I'd tell you that story because I was so excited and I didn't know. And now I know why I got a copy is because It's the blurb, but I was just so excited about the book. Hey, is there anything that comes to you that you want to share that we haven't covered about spirit crystals or anything else that you're doing?
Um, no, I would just say that, well, thank you for having me on, obviously. But yeah, it's not a book that is like the end all be all. Like, it's not an encyclopedia of crystals. It's like it's a gateway to a journey, I would say. It's a journey. And so that's, I think, more than anything, like the mindset. Like, it's like, okay, I don't really need another crystal book. Yeah, but maybe you need a journey book. Maybe you feel like it's time to get a crystal and let it take you on a journey and do all the healing things and see where you end up. Because for me, healing's a lifelong thing. And we are constantly cycling through different types of healing. And we need different ways of seeing things. We need to hear certain things like 10 times sometimes before it really sinks in. And so that's what it's really about. It's more like that healing journey than okay, I need to go get these crystals and work with them. It's like, no, it's about taking care of you. It's really like a strong self care, self nourishment book.
I love it. With one of the most ancient, if not the most ancient nations, the Stone Nation and the Stone people who have seen it all. They have seen it all, were forged under intense pressure and mined traumatically. So get the book, get your crystals, take them and play in the stream and talk to them and introduce yourself to get to know them and they will respond. Jenny, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you a lot. I always love talking to Jenny Seabell. She's been on my show, I've been on hers. It's been and will continue to do so. So anyway, thank you people. Thank you listeners. Please like, subscribe and share with those rock hounds that you know that need a little boost to go, whoa, these are alive. They're really, they have a personality and they can come and talk to me and be empowered and your healing empowerment journey. I love it. I love it. And so love you guys. Thank you once again and we will see you on the flippity flip.